Welcome all our listeners here to Bridging the Gap Radio Talk Show, where, as you know, we are inspired by faith and are always committed to action. My name is Sal Mendez, and I am your host here today on Bridging the Gap Radio. And as you know, each week we bring you special guest speakers, and today is no exception. But of course, we're still in the pandemic, the COVID-19, as I call it. And, you know, that's just changed a lot of different situations for us here, not only for everyone outside, but here on the studio as well. And so we've made those changes, and we're trying to stay within what we're able to do. This is going to be our very first Zoom, I guess, radio interview, if you want to call it that. And so we're utilizing those tools to be able to still bring you something that is fresh. I know for the past couple of weeks, we've been putting some past recorded interviews that we've done, but we want to be able to bring you some current and something that I know that our listeners will be able to benefit from, that, especially right now, because we were talking about this a little while ago. And, you know, with this quarantine that we're going through, a lot of people are dealing with a lot of different things, but one of them is basically mental issues that as we get isolated, you know, a lot of people aren't used to being isolated. And if they are, it creates problems and issues. So we want to speak about that today, because we may have some listeners that can identify with this or maybe know someone. And we want to be able to bring information regarding this as well. So I'm pleased to have with me today Pam Bovaird. I don't know if I said that right or not, your last name, but I'm sure you'll correct me in a little bit. And she is a mental health therapist with a Master's of Arts degree in psychology and human services. She has a passion for educating children, youth, adults, and family members about the hope that can be found in Jesus Christ despite addictions, trauma, and hopelessness or past choices. Pam, thank you so much for being here with us. Say hello to the people that are listening out there right now.
Hello, and thank you so much for joining in to hear us this afternoon. And as Sal says, I am passionate just about providing education for the community and for people that have kind of found themselves in a hopeless situation or feel like maybe some of the choices that they've made in the past are too big for God to be able to forgive, or are too much for them to be able to bring closure and move forward with some better life choices. And so I'm very pleased to be able to be here to talk about this. I'm actually from Colorado Springs and moved to Texas about 21 years ago. My husband was stationed here in the Air Force, and we just never left. And so I'm the proud mom of 5 daughters and 10 grandbabies. And so that has kept me extremely busy. But as I said, I just have such a passion for giving people tools that they can use to really find hope in making better choices and bringing some healing to some past choices and some past trauma that may have happened to them.
Sure, no, absolutely. And like I was saying a little while ago, we're in those times right now that I think it's increased more than ever before because of, you know, the COVID-19 that we're experiencing. And there are so many people that are out there that are dealing with these things before this even happened. And I can imagine just everything that has been piled up on top of what they were dealing with right now. It's just become, you know, a greater or bigger issue that is really affecting a lot of them. And mental is one of them. I mean, it's, you know, it's happening. We may not be aware of it because we are quarantined. We don't know what's going down, you know, the next block or next door or whatever because of that separation that we have. But definitely, we want to touch on that. What do you believe, especially right now, the way things are? Have you seen an increase in that, or what is your take on that?
Oh, absolutely. The level of hopelessness and despair. Most people that have mental health issues, the only thing that gets them through these times is having the support of family and friends. And so when you take that away from someone and they're locked inside their home and you're piling on the aspect of fear, being afraid to go out for fear that you're going to get this virus, and just really feeling like you're isolated from everyone and everything, the mind can play such powerful tricks on you. It can begin making you feel like there's really nobody out there that cares for you or cares about you. And I think especially for our children that have been quarantined and under lockdown, as adults and parents, we can explain to our kids the reason that they're not being allowed to see their friends or get together with family. But unfortunately, children just don't have that level of comprehension. And so they have such a hard time understanding why their life has all of a sudden changed so much, and why mom and dad may not be going to work and are angry all the time and may have picked up alcohol or other drugs to kind of numb their pain and deal with what they're going through. And so just as this pandemic has continued on way past what I think anybody even expected, we're seeing more and more cases of hopelessness, more and more cases going into ERs, wanting to commit suicide, not wanting to live anymore, not feeling like they have an outlet or having anyone that really cares whether they're here or not. And so it's been a tremendous burden for a lot of people and mental health therapists in the community and across the United States.
Right. Especially, again, like I said, in these times right now. And I don't even know if what I believe I heard something in the news that said that because of the situation that we're in, that some of the suicide has increased because of it.
Yes.
So I don't know what the numbers are on that, but that does not surprise me that even a healthy individual, that doesn't really have issues like most people would have that are suffering with some of these things that are still like me. I think I'm very strong-minded and I understand because I know God and I know the faith and all this, but even that sometimes you really just have to pull back and just even turning off the TV because of the numbers, all the information, the things that are coming up can kind of start to take an effect on you.
Yes. And you have so many men that have been laid off or lost their jobs or have taken a tremendous pay cut because of this pandemic. And you start taking away the ability of men to provide for their families. And it just causes all sorts of mental health issues, because it's bad enough if you are just solely responsible for yourself. But then when you take a man's ability to provide for a family, that added to just the stress of seeing his wife and his children having to be locked down and having to do without. And I think that's why you're seeing these long lines of people trying to get food and supplies for their families, because this is probably the last thing that they would ever want to do. But at the same time, they're being placed in that position where it's a matter of their family eating or not eating, and they feel like that's at the very least that they can do to support their family. But it's tragic, and we're seeing it across a wide scope of men especially.
Right. And this doesn't discriminate. It's not, it goes across the board, regardless of whether you're on the high end or the low end of social, economic status.
Yes.
It's an equal opportunity disadvantager, I think is what it is.
Yes.
And so it's a sad thing. But again, being able to know that there is hope. I mean, a lot of people, I think when we lose hope, I think we've lost everything.
Yes.
And you have to really understand that, there still is hope regarding what your situation is, either mentally, financially. Like I always tell people, I said, this will pass. Unfortunately, we're going through it, and we just have to get over that hump to be able to get to that point. But a lot of times they see a little hill and they look at it and it looks like a mountain because of, what they're dealing with. So I also know that you are part of, and I had the pleasure of meeting, I was invited to be part of this Zoom interview that they had about 2 weeks ago. And this is where I kind of was able to meet a lot of some of the members that are part of the Revelations ministry Revelations 21:4.
Yes.
And so I believe in this. What I was listening to, and what the goal and what the the impact that this ministry can do when it gets going, because it's really just birthing right now.
Yes.
It's getting started, and what I saw and what I heard was really something really good. Can you elaborate a little bit on that? Because I know you are part of that ministry.
Yes, absolutely. So Revelation 21:4 was just birthed with the idea that families and children that are placed in situations where they're experiencing hopelessness, where they've picked up alcohol or drugs, and they've inevitably lost their children or have kind of neglected their children's medical issues and things and are removed from the home. Revelations 21:4 seeks to provide those parents with tools and a faith-based program where they can actually get back on their feet and can begin to work with us to reunify their children, to be able to be better parents. We all make mistakes and make choices that we're not proud of. But in the case of children, so many times when children are removed from homes of parents who have kind of fallen in that neglect path, they don't understand why they're no longer able to be with mom and dad. Mm-hmm. And so we want those children to know that there is a Heavenly Father that loves them, that cares about them. We want their parents to know that the Heavenly Father loves them and cares about them. And rather than working against them like the system so many times does, we want to give them a faith-based place where we can give them the tools that they can use to get on the path to sobriety and can learn how to be a better parent, how to discipline and what to do and how to cope when it seems like so much is happening that you just, so many times moms and dads too, we get frazzled because our kids are asking questions and into things, but teaching these parents how to have positive ways of coping with those stressors. And so that's what we are all about.
And like I said, I kind of was able to be part of that Zoom meeting, listening to everything. And I think what I was impressed with is there's a lot of talented people on board with this. It's not just one or two people that decided, well, we just want to go and help people. I think what I was looking at and what I was listening to is everything is very well structured. There's what I was seeing was, we have to take care of this, we have to do this, we have to do this before it actually happens. And that was very impressive, because nowadays I can tell you, I've seen a lot of, and I'm not bashing, believe me, I'm not doing that, but I've seen a lot of ministries that it's like, well, God told me to go do this and let's just go do it. And I'm like, okay, but how are you going to do it? I mean, you have to have certain things in place to be effective. I get the part that God may have told you to do something. We are commanded to do certain things, of course, but our God is a God of order and structure. And so I think having those things in place just really helps your organization or ministry, as the case may be here, to be able to be more effective and to be able to do more.
Oh, absolutely. And Pastor Rebecca, she was, by God's grace, she was given a building over off of Gembler in order to start this program. And she just went in with a team of volunteers and completely renovated the building and made different areas for different age groups. And by faith, just started asking God to put volunteers in her path that would have different experience. And so she has an organizational structure for our program. And as Sal says, we have so many talented volunteers we have a substance abuse licensed counselor. I'm working in the mental health department. We have someone that does MNRI, which is helping people to kind of pick up different things that they can do in order to cope with stressors. We just have an amazing group of talented workers that are actually just volunteering our time so that we can make this vision that God has given us into something that is extraordinary for parents and children. And so right now we're working on two different grants, and those are both through CPS. And one is a program that will provide a child that finds themselves hospitalized with an illness, if they don't have a family member that's able to sit with them, we will provide someone that will go in and sit with them and really love on them and comfort them, because when children are sick, it's so important that they have someone sitting there with them, especially in the hospital. And then another one of our programs that we're in the process of doing is through CPS also, and it's providing a safe space and supervised visitation. And I know just this past weekend, Pastor Rebecca was able to reunite a parent and her children that she had not seen for over 2 years. And this is what I'm talking about. This is providing those parents and those children with hope when that hope has been removed. And so this is just such an important mentorship program. Our plan is to partner with the youth rehabilitation services, with the jails, with different programs where we can actually bring youth in and begin to mentor them and kind of not only work on education, but also trying to bring healing to a lot of the trauma that they've experienced through different situations that they were raised in. Right. And so just Revelation 21:4, I cannot say enough about the program, because it was birthed by God. The vision has been there, and everyone has just kind of came in at a point when God called them, and it's just taken off from there. And so it's really our heart that children and youth and families can come and receive hope and healing.
Amen. No, and like I said, just being part of that meeting there, I got that really quickly, and everything that I heard, I was on board with it, because I believe that the issue here is helping people, and not just, you can give somebody, you can feed somebody and give them, a sandwich or something. Well, it's a good thing. Don't get me wrong. Definitely a good thing what we can do. But when we go beyond that and not just spend time with people, because that's one way we can spend a little time with them. But I believe, basically speaking for myself, because I am, I love working with youth, and that's my passion, high school youth. But I just don't want to spend time with them. That's one of the parts, but I want to invest in them. And when you invest, that means you're there for, not just for the moment. You're in there and you keep helping and trying to, whatever situation they may be dealing with, to try to see how you can come in and empower them to know that, hey, this may be a problem or an issue, or these things that you've done in the past are in the past. I want to see what you're going to do from this point on, and how you're able to do those things. And a lot of times, we want to get them out there and start having them be functional people in society when they haven't even been healed first.
Exactly.
And I think that's the issue, that I think we want to push them so quickly out, and, here's Jesus, and just go out there, and God is good and God will fix you. Well, it's a little bit more than that sometimes. And I think it's like I said, it's investing that time to figure out what is it that they're dealing with. How is it that we can help? How we can do what we can? If we have a solution, then absolutely, we want to present that solution or answer to them, to equip them to be able to be a functional person in society as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And something that you hit on, you don't want to just push them through the system, which is basically what happens when children and youth are removed from their homes. But you want to instill trust in them, because I will tell you, when you take a child that has been through trauma, unimaginable trauma, you have completely broken down the component of trust. And so that has to be built from the ground up. And so it's not enough just to come in and put a coloring book in front of them or start giving them a path to education. You have to really create that foundation of trust. And especially the older the child is, especially when you're dealing with youth, the harder time and the least likely they are to trust. And so you really have to go in there and build that bridge with them and teach them that Jesus loves them no matter what they've done, and that he is in the hope and healing and restoration business. And so many times, youth especially, they're so turned off towards the idea of religion or God, because they ask themselves, how can a God that loves me have allowed these horrific things to happen to me? And so bringing that healing of their relationship that they've had with God, or the way that they've seen him, it takes so much time and so much prayer and so much mentorship. And that word mentorship is so important to me, because you're really standing beside a child and you're developing that relationship with them and teaching them that they can trust, and that God does love them, and that he's placed people in their lives to walk beside them and to go through this healing process with. And so such an important component of what we do, and just what our youth and children need.
Right, exactly. And I'm a firm believer in that, because like you said, especially the youth that we're working with here where we're located, 78207, is one of the most impoverished zip codes in the nation. And so these are the kids we're dealing with. I mean, if they have one parent at home, they're lucky. The situation that's around them, all the gangs, all the drugs, everything that is there is the influence of what they understand and know. And they figure, this is my life. This is what I know. This is what I'll become. But when you present an option and you said, no, let me introduce you to something else that maybe you're not aware of. And yes, it's been rough. Yes, it's been tough. But, there is a way out. There is something better waiting for you. There is an answer. Just because you don't know about it doesn't mean that there's no answer. The thing is that sometimes it may be a little bit harder for you because you're coming from a dysfunctional family or whatever. But the goals, if you set goals and you have, your eyes on God and your faith and your foundation, which I try to help them understand, that everything that you do has to have a foundation, and God is your foundation. So we have to start there, building that foundation of God in their lives. So everything else that comes after that, they will build on that. They know will be strong. But it is difficult because, like you say, a lot of them are broken, and I've seen that. They come in here and they don't even trust you. They're, what are you going to be here right now, and then you're gonna be gone in about a week? And that's kind of hard when you hear that, because you're thinking, man, a lot of people have done that. They're used to it. And so we have to, like I said, we have to invest, and that sometimes requires time, or may require some type of resource to help them or to build them up and empower them to be able to be who God actually created them to be, because they have no identity, they have no clue. And this is what we want to do, and give them those tools that they need. I'm not going to, like I tell them, I'm not going to do it for you. You're going to have to put some effort in doing this, but understand you're not riding alone. We're here for you. We're here to help you if we can, but you're going to have to put that time and effort into it. And believe me, when you do that and you see the outcome, it's so much sweeter, because now you own that. It's yours. Nobody gave it to you. Nobody said, here it is, and that's it. So it is important to be able to have these type of resources, these type of organizations or ministries that are actually empowering and investing in kids' lives.
Sometimes the only Jesus that these children see is their mentor. They see their mentor and their passion for living for the Lord, and how much they want to do for the Lord. And those children see God's face through those mentorship programs. They're actually seeing the hand of God at work through their mentors. And that's what's so beautiful about it, because that's what builds the trust, is knowing that someone does not have ulterior motives in wanting to love on them and work with them, but they're actually doing it because of how much they love Jesus, and that love that Jesus has given them for those children. And it's just so beautiful when you see the transformation come. And this is just a real quick story, but I was working for Bluebonnet Trails, and I was working for a crisis department. And I had the pleasure of meeting, and I say it's a pleasure because he taught me so much, but he was a gang member. And I'm talking one of the most hardened gang members that you could imagine. He had done things that I could not even fathom. And over time, being able to share with him and him seeing the love that I had for the Lord, he actually approached me one day and said, where do you get this joy from? What drives you? What makes you want to do this? And I was able to share with him the salvation story. And that man gave his heart to the Lord. And this has been several months ago, and he is such a Bible thumper right now. He's actually went into communities where he was a gang leader, and was working with gangs and is actually leading these people to the Lord.
Sure.
And so every time I think about him, and I use him as an illustration so many times because he had tattoos even on his eyelids. Mm-hmm. And so to look at him, it's just like we look at children and youth sometimes and we don't understand at our age, where they come up with the color of hair or their different look that they have. But Jesus sees through all of that and he loves them so much. And he just takes you from being judgmental and to just wanting to love them the way that he loves them. And that's what this is about, is loving those children in spite of how much they try and scare you off or how they're dressed or what they're doing with their looks that day, to just loving them.
Right, exactly. That's so true. I mean, and that's sometimes what I see is that, it's unfortunate some ministry will say, well, you don't meet our criteria before we help you. And I've seen it, believe me. It's like, well, I had a youth pastor up there on the north side. He said, man, he was working. He loves working with kids. And this kid was a problematic kid in school and everything. And he got expelled for, I don't know, he was carrying something or something happened. I don't know what. But he was coming to that church and part of the youth group. And one of the parents reached out to him. He said, if that kid's going to be in here, I'm going to take my kid out. I'm like, well, what do you mean? I mean, he was kind of like, why are you saying that? Aren't everyone welcome to the foot of the cross? I mean, if we're going to be specific to these things, then we're going to fall very short on what we were supposed to do.
Absolutely. Yes, it is. And just kind of very quickly, when children are raised and there's been so much trauma involved, there's actually a disconnect between the emotional and the logical part of their brain. And so they're constantly, if they're abused or in whatever way, they are reacting to everything from that point forward from an emotional, from the emotional side of their brain that's really saying you don't deserve to be loved. This is always going to be painful for you. You're not worthy. And so one of the wonderful things that begins to happen through partnership with these children and mentorship is being able to connect that emotion to the logical portion of their brain that says, wait, I did not deserve for that to happen. And this is their problem. This is not my problem. I did not deserve for this to happen. And so you see children growing up now with the ability to distinguish what happened to them to the fact that it was not their fault. Because children especially, they go into these situations and they don't have the capability to connect that emotion with the logic. And they don't have an understanding or an explanation for what's happened to them. And so in just being able to come along beside them and love on them and teach them that these things that happen is not part of God's plan for their life. He did not, cause those things to happen. And we're able to help them begin to look at things from a totally different point of view, which is so crucial because that's where you have well-adjusted adults that are growing up and able to separate logically with the emotional aspect of what happened to them and what they've been through. And they turn out to be they have the most amazing testimonies because they're able to reach people and other children through their story and where they've been.
Absolutely. I agree with you 100% on that. We're a little bit past over our time frame here, but nonetheless, I still want to be able to let people know that you are starting. This is a brand new ministry, and like I believe and I know I've been there when we started our ministry. If you don't have the resources or the funds or everything that you need, especially because you're nobody really knows you or you haven't put any roots in yet. So if anybody that is listening or maybe is hearing this would like more information about maybe this organization or this ministry, or maybe they'd like to sow a seed into the ministry, who can they reach or where can they contact to be able to get information or to maybe to say, hey, I want to donate either financially, which, that is a blessing in itself, or maybe would like to volunteer and say, hey, I would like to be part of this organization. I have skills or trades or whatever it may be that I can offer to be able to help in what y'all are doing. Is there somewhere they can reach, a website, a Facebook, or a contact number?
Absolutely. We're in the process of building our Facebook page, and just go to Revelation 2:14 or 21:4, or it's just listed as 2:14 right now. Mm-hmm. And then I want to give you a really important email address, and this is Pastor Rebecca, and she's kind of the founding person of this program, and would have more information about how to donate. I can tell you it's $1,500 a year to donate for one child to be included in this mentorship program for a whole year, or else we also are doing like monthly faith donations, or even if you could, books, art supplies, anything that children would use, we're accepting all of that as well. So the email address is McKay, and it's MCKAY.revelation, REVELATION, @gmail.com. And that's Pastor Rebecca's email, and she will have donation forms or anything that God puts on your heart to help with this program. She would be the go-to person, and we just really encourage everyone to just really pray and ask God, if you feel like God really leading you to help these children. It's just such an amazing opportunity to sow into God's kingdom and to these children and the lives of these kids and youth.
Right. Okay, well, Pam, thank you so much. I appreciate your time, and look forward to working with this organization. If there's anything I can do to help, absolutely. But thank you again. I appreciate you taking your time right now to come and be part of our Bridging the Gap here on 1100 KDRY. So we look forward to seeing you soon, maybe, and meeting personally, because I know right now it's been everything through Zoom. But thank you again, and continued blessings for everything that you all are doing.
Thank you so very much.
This has been a Power of God production. This program has been sponsored by Last Chance Ministries and KDRY Radio.